Hey guys, and welcome to part 2 of my how to find fights video tutorial. In this video we will talk about low-sec. Now low-sec is every beginner PvPer's entry location, preferably regions that are active in faction warfare like Bleak Lands, Black Rise, Placid, etc. You can find all of them on Google. I do not recommend going to other regions that are not active in faction warfare because you finding fights is greatly reduced, and most fights you will find on gates, where you should not engage neutrals unless you want to take gate guns, or find yourself in a gate camp where the odds of you escaping or surviving is slim to none. Now, faction warfare space is also the spot where most beginner PvPers go, so the odds of you finding a new one-on-one fight is higher. Low-sec is a double-edged sword though. For each engagement you start, so for each fight you attack first, you lose security status, meaning every time you attack a neutral you are penalized with a constant percentage towards your security status, which is fun. That's what makes you a pirate eventually. Some of the best fights and funniest can be had in low-sec. If you play it right as a beginner, you can even get people to engage you on stargates. I know a lot of people have flown Tech 1 logistic cruisers with a fit that was mostly tank and tackle. Just keep your enemies crammed while the gate guns do their job. Now getting back to how you find fights. At first I'd recommend you open up the map and find 2 or 3 systems that are more active. You can look up average pilots in space with kills of the last hour, and that's your starting point. Don't be afraid if there are a lot of people in local. Not everyone is active. Mark those systems with a waypoint and give it a good circle around. That should be step 1. If you find nothing, then we switch it up. Now at this point you have 2 options. 1. Determine which system is the most traveled by looking up jumps in the last hour on the map, and look up the faction warfare window for those systems and see which is more contested. Higher percentage towards 100 means faction warfare pilots will regularly come and plex that area, and farmers that will try to deplex them. Park in that system, open up a plex that's for your ship size, in our case a novice because we have a frigate, and wait. To open up faction warfare sites, simply open the probe window because they are anomalies and do not require to be scanned down. And number 2, bounce around those systems till you find a suitable target. It may take a while because it also depends on your time zone, but it's better this way than simply scouring the entire region. And now for the tips and tricks of the trade. I will always recommend you do option number 1, but I may be biased towards it because I am part of faction warfare, so if I don't find the fight, I am at least making money. However, I recommend you do as well. If you're not part of a corporation and want to PvP on low-sec, then join a faction warfare corp, either neutral or man-made, because it's good money and makes waiting for a fight half tedious. But that is not the only reason. One of the more crucial aspects of solo PvP is getting to know your quote-unquote neighbors, or learning the way of the land, so to speak. If you find a system that has people living in it, be it with citadels or regular stations, then you are pretty much set with constant fights every time you come in. Here, let me explain. People who live in low-sec live for the same reason you visited, for the pew-pew, generally speaking. So if there are targets right at their doorstep, they will be more easily enticed to come out and play because they don't have to scour the region for it. However, there are a couple of drawbacks to this that you should be aware of. Firstly, they will almost always counter your ship. That is a given. Because they live there, it's easy for them to reship, and we all know no one wants a challenge. They just want to win, so be prepared for that. And 2, you will probably get gangbanged at first, but that's okay. If you fly cheap, then you're not losing so much, but more you gain experience and knowledge that will serve you to counter them in the next fights. Also, if you are a standard visitor, make sure you are always polite, no matter how many times you lose, because if they see you are cool, after a while they will give you so many good fights you won't believe it. Trust me. There are of course some corps who only blob and gangbang. They care too much about kill boards that they don't risk losing ships. But that's where ZQ comes in. You can check the corp out and the pilots to see how and what they fly. Pretty cool, right? One more tip before I close this off. In the beginning, if you see a lot of ships on D-scan towards a certain plex, you can try warping to 100 kilometers and try to separate them, or at least see in safety what's going on there. But at the same time, if you want to warp to the plex to activate the gate and go inside, make sure you always warp at 10 kilometers because otherwise you risk getting stuck on the acceleration gate. Alright, so that's it in a nutshell for low sec. It's nothing hard nor complicated, just need to be determined. It also helps if you can move a lot of ships down in or close to the designated system that you pick, because it makes reshipping easier and faster. Good luck, and don't forget to subscribe for more content and also the rest of the parts. Fly safe.